continue. And then we're going to share, if I get this right, the PowerPoint screen. And then show.
See, that's what our casino looked like. That's what our casino looked like.
All right.
We just click it forward then?
Yeah, you just should be able to just cursor forward. People should be able to see it.
Okay. Okay. Glad to present this, and I don't know if you want to say anything.
I'll make comments from.
Okay. I am in sales, and this was I earned this trip through sales, and it was basically we added 4 days so that we could stay a week. We had the airfare and we had 3 nights paid for. So I just we rented a car and added time, and instead of hitting the casinos, we saw a whole different side to Las Vegas and the area. And this was a map that was there. It gives you an idea of where Las Vegas is at and the areas we went to. Sunset Park is right in the heart of Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas. The Henderson Bird Viewing is in Henderson, just to the southeast of that area. Pahranagat was the farthest we went out. Pahranagat was about an hour drive out of Las Vegas. And then Desert National Wildlife Refuge was a large one, and that was about a 45-minute drive outside of Las Vegas also.
And notice Lake Mead there, a lot of the areas that we went to are trying to keep water more available, recycling water, because of the problems they're having with Lake Mead and its water supply.
They recycle their water back to Lake Mead, actually. We saw evidence of that.
Okay.
And when they say you go into a desert, the first thing you need is water. Take plenty of water with you. And we saw that, because you're an hour outside of anything, you better have water with you. So the first thing we did was stop at Walmart and get a case of water for the back of the car. And in the parking lot at Walmart, we saw the gray-tailed grackle, and we said, "Whoa, what a cool bird! What a cool bird! It's lively!" And then we, because of between Dallas and Las Vegas, I went on eBird and said, "Okay, where are the best birds being seen in the last 24 hours?" And Sunset Park wasn't on my radar, and we ended up going back there twice because it was a great birding spot, and we saw these gray-tailed grackles, and and residents said they're basically nuisance birds. And after a week, we knew what they meant, and we were tired of seeing the gray-tailed grackles because they were everywhere.
And they're very loud.
Yeah, they let you know they're around.
So it was great to see them, but like Terry said, they consider them nuisance birds. And after a while, we did too.
And that's Sunset Park. That's the sunsets at Sunset Park are incredible. And we figured that's how it got its name. So we had to put a sunset in there for you.
Yeah.
Has anybody been to Vegas to bird in that area? And the first thing that we saw besides one of our target birds was the Gambel's quail, and one of the first places we parked, they came out on the parking lot. They came right out of the desert area of Sunset. Sunset has different types of habitat. It's more what I would call a county park than a city park. Even though they call it a city park, I would call it a county park. And they came out and they were very photogenic.
Yeah, and these pictures of the birds you're going to be seeing are pictures I took with my Cool Pix camera, Nikon camera, and I'll talk a little bit about that later.
And another cool bird is the birdin, and we saw those several places. Cute little bird, very sweet voice. And this one just was cooperated for Randy to get a nice picture of him. And we have a picture later coming up so you can see the size of him, because he is very small in comparison to other birds. And the the greater roadrunner, that was one of our target birds. He also, I said, which parking lot are we gonna park at Sunset? Because there are several parking lots. Randy picked one and this came right out of the parking lot, it was meant to be. And he actually ran around the car. So.
Terry, feel free to drag that image down that's showing. The
Okay.
pictures. So.
I didn't realize.
So it doesn't obscure your,
Okay.
right, great.
Okay, I didn't realize it was there, okay. So that is the greater roadrunner, and we did see those a few places. Really interesting, we saw them even perched in trees. Besides running around. But they say bird the edges, and we did the best birding the edges, I think.
Yeah, that was a nice cooperative road runner. When he's right there, right when you get there.
Yeah. It was. And that was our ladderback woodpecker. And that was about the best shot we could get, because he was feeding and he was in and out of the bushes. He was a hard one to get. Because he didn't perch any place very long.
I like his head.
And we saw this is a neat bird, the crystal thrasher. And we saw those both here and at Red Rock Canyon and over at Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve. Really a neat bird.
Yeah, I was surprised how many crystals we saw. Is that, usually they were pretty far away, but this one got close enough so I could get a nice picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like that curved beak.
Can we ask questions?
Sure.
So like our brown thrasher, are they mimics?
Yes. Yeah.
So would you compare it? Are they?
Our brown thrasher, I think, sings a lot better than this one. Yes.
Who's your
Yeah.
prejudice?
He's your prejudice, yeah. They have more of a vocal range, our brown thrashers. At least with the ones we ran into, don't you think?
Yeah.
At least with the ones we ran into.
And do you have any insights about how the curve of that bill helps them feed?
I don't know, if they are into the flowers, because we didn't see them feeding, but I have a feeling that some of the nectar, because we saw different types of birds trying to get into hummingbird feeders and flowers. So. And that's the Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve. That was another one that was quite a surprise. It's basically, what would you call it? The water, sewage.
It's
Water.
the towns in that county have to are required now to build these waste treatment plants, and after the waste is treated, they discharge it into these ponds. And these ponds, as you can see here, create nice habitat, not only for birds, but for people. They put in these nice walkways, bird viewing areas, and there's lots of folks that visit these sites, and they actually keep track of the birds they see.
Yeah, and they have big, as you walk in, they have big electronic boards, what birds are where, what birds have been seen, and the date they've been seen.
Oh.
So you know pretty much what might be around.
Yeah, so we were definitely not alone in birding Las Vegas. There were lots of folks. If they weren't birding, they were enjoying just walking on these nice paths that they have through these wetlands. And again, these wetlands are there because they're trying to they're trying to recharge their water system. These ponds, if they don't send water right back to Lake Mead, the water percolates into the groundwater.
And then they've made it nice it's a nice park for people, basically.
Nice. Oh.
Yeah. And cinnamon teal, one of our favorites. I've never been that close up to a cinnamon teal. I was a lifer because I wasn't gonna go chasing one in Salamone and kind of see it at a distance, but they were right up close for us.
And this the foaming water you see around these ducks, that's right where they were discharging their treated water.
Yeah,
So I don't know if the ducks were getting a little extra something to eat or what. But they were a lot of them congregate there.
but it was beautiful, and we were there on sunny days. Temperatures are basically in the 60s until the last day, which it hit 90. We were there, but nice weather. Yeah, we had the eared grebe, which is really a neat bird. The eared grebe were everywhere. We had a western grebe, but he was so far out, it was difficult to see him. But these little grebes were everywhere. Birds really love the ponds, and this was still at Henderson. And that's what the paths look like. That's what the paths look like between the ponds. And this was the furthest out you can go. These were the last two ponds at the end. This was pond 8 and 9.
And you see the housing project in the distance.
In the distance, yeah.
And that hooks right into this trail.
Yeah, so if you live in that housing distance, you can get into the preserve and go walking. There's no charge to go into it. So I thought that would be a bonus. And Randy had this to show you some of the things that they have there. The bird blind or the duck blind. And then they had the platform. And in the scrub tree right outside the platform was a Lucy warbler was nesting. And unfortunately, Randy didn't get a shot of one there. She was not cooperative, but he did get a picture of one elsewhere.
Yeah, I thought these amenities they have for people who use their trails are really remarkable and very nice. I'm surprised that one's not handicap accessible, since we're trying to do the same thing at Limberlost, and that's been an issue for us. But
Yeah,
it's Las Vegas, maybe they do things
yeah.
differently.
The bird blind's are handicap accessible, and the first level of the observation deck is wheelchair accessible. There's a crystal again, the crystal thrasher. That was the one at Henderson. He was singing in the bushes. And that's what the little verdin looks like. He likes the hummingbird feeders. You can see he's finch size. So he's not a large bird at all. Very pretty little bird. Nice song.
And these places have, when you check in when you get there at some of these sites, and they put out feeders for the hummingbirds. But other birds are taking advantage of that apparently. Tiny little birds.
And Randy and I were heading out to Desert National Wildlife Refuge, and unfortunately, there was a bad accident on the highway. And if anybody's ever been in the desert, there's one road, so you have to take a detour. So we went from about 70 degrees up through the Spring Mountains, and it was in the 20s. And there was snow on the ground. There weren't birds up there, but we had to throw in how the temperatures. That mountain is right outside of Vegas. Still had snow on the mountains, and this is mid-April.
Oh.
And then we got to Desert National Wildlife, and we're back in the desert again. We come down again, and we're back to 70 degrees. So that's what the mountains look like. The trails. That's why they say take water with you. Take water everywhere with you. And that long-eared owls. Long-eared owls were nesting there, and the volunteer at the desk told us about where it was at, so that we could see it.
Those are babies there, right?
Those are two babies. Yeah, there's two babies in the nest. Two young in the nest in front of mom.
And that was a pretty long shot for my camera.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of fuzzy ones, but this one worked out just fine.
That was neat to see. And that is the Costas, female Costas hummingbird. Little tiny. They don't, and then the Annas. Stannis and the birds.
Oh, it's the transcription.
And then this is Red Rock Canyon. And before we left, I did some research on these places. Red Rock Canyon, you have to have a pass to get in, they're time passes. There's a 13-mile driving trail that you can do. And I set a time for us to do that. I also looked at events. And there was a ranger birding walk. The one morning it was free, but you were limited to 10 people on the walk. So that was a boardwalk, and we were able to partake in that and also do the drive. And one evening we stopped into Red Rock. During the hours that they're open, you are timed and they will stop you because there's so many people that want to be in with the Red Rocks.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is a Say's Phoebe. We did see Say's Phoebe and the Black Phoebe, which were really cool little birds. About like our Phoebes, and that was the Red Rock, and that was the boardwalk on the right there that we took with the naturalist, with the ranger. And the ranger got his degree from the University of Chicago, from Illinois, and that's one of his first jobs is out there at Red Rock Canyon. So he's an entirely different habitat.
Wow.
Yeah, and that walkway
Went on and on.
on and on, very, very nice for everybody, very convenient.
Yeah. There were a lot of people though that took off climbing in the rocks. We wondered about them falling because a lot of them were just not well geared for hiking. But they were going up into the rocks anyway. And there's our little Lucy warbler. Randy got that off the boardwalk there. That's the little Lucy's warbler. Very plain, has a very sweet voice. And that was one that I wanted to see, the Pahranagat. They call them the black cardinal. They're actually not a cardinal. And Randy happened to get a picture of a male, the black one, and the female's more gray. They both have red eyes. The male was insanely cooperative. We used the car as a blind, and Randy was able to get just a whole series of
About
shots
20 different good shots.
of the bird. And he was singing also.
A striking looking bird.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a nice way to call it a black cardinal. That's
Yeah.
what reminded me of when I saw it. I had no idea what it was when I saw it.
Yeah.
We were lucky to get the female cardinal.
And he got her off the boardwalk there it's in Red Rock Canyon, but it was part of Red Springs, the Red Springs area. And this is Pahranagat. This is about an hour drive outside of Las Vegas on the northeast side. Beautiful area, and very surprised to find that there are natural springs in the desert. And Pahranagat has one of the natural springs running through it. And that's what a natural spring looks like. And the bird there, that's the Black Phoebe. The Black Phoebe was very contented. Along it was like a creek, and then they had some, what would you call it, little ponds, but little creeks. But we were very surprised that in the desert there are natural spring waters.
So some of the water that they retreat gets discharged into these creeks.
And we did get to see Joshua trees. At Pahranagat they have Joshua trees. And the new butterfly that we got that I couldn't ID until we got home was a Western Pygmy Blue. But we had these sweet little butterflies around the water.
And not only did we see birds, but we visited the nature center at, where was the
That was Clark County Wetlands.
Yeah, and they had a display talking about this whiptail, the western whiptail, And we were able to get on a vehicle.
Yeah, it was a tram. It was another one that I rented, like rent-a-naturalist, Kurt. She was a rent-a-naturalist. And a little tram, because it's a large wetlands. It's also, they treat their water in Las Vegas and it goes back out to Lake Mead. So they had some ponds and desert.
And didn't take us long to see one of these whiptails. That's the picture I got. And that tail goes way into the shadow. I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but it's a long tail. And that tram, interesting, it broke down.
It was his first day back in operation after 3 months being up, and it didn't last the whole trip.
So the three of us, the two of us and the guy were out there with this broken tram. Fortunately, she had a walkie-talkie with her,
Yeah.
so she was able to get us
Yeah.
help.
And this is ending it. We did spend our one night in Vegas. We stayed at Caesar's, 18th floor, had a suite, which was very, very nice. And we ate in Italy. We had dinner in Italy, and they have it so that it looks like sunsets. It is a fake sunset, but you do have a sunset. It goes from day to night.
Yeah, the color changes as you're sitting there, like
Yeah,
wind.
yeah, like it would, like if you were sitting out.
Yeah.
So the weather's always perfect, and
And you feel wind.
you feel wind blowing. They've got wind circulating, so you feel like you're sitting outside. So that was our night in Italy.
On the other side of this photograph, there are gondolas with guys singing.
Yeah.
It's
And
Las Vegas.
you go from one end of the building to the other, and then the gondola turns around.
Yeah. And that's the view out
Our window.
our window. Notice how there are little cars, those are regular sized cars parked at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's a parking lot.
Yeah, that's the sphere that everybody talks about, and you like to go there for different kinds of programs and shows inside the sphere, but you can see it's daylight still and that sphere's on. And
It goes 24 hours a day, and there's always something different. The show for us was watching the sphere. We were on the 18th floor, and we had a perfect view for it.
yeah, really was a remarkable view.
I mean, you had an eye, you had a smiley face. Sometimes you had the ocean. Sometimes you had the earth. Sometimes you had crazy paintings on it.
The moon.
The moon. Yeah.
Huh.
So those are the pictures that we got birds of. We did see a couple different species of towhees and some of the smaller birds, which we just didn't get pictures of.
Right.
But very good trip, and in about 2.5 weeks, we're gonna be leaving for Lake Tahoe. So we're gonna be birding Tahoe.
Another trip she won. Earned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, another trip, yeah. So we added days and we're renting a car, so. Since we've been there once, we have a better idea of things we wanna see. That's it. And this is the first time we put a PowerPoint together, and we had a good time reviewing our trip and didn't fight and.
Still married.
So married.
Thank you. Oh, wait, just, yeah, but let's turn the PowerPoint off in case there's somebody who has a question.
Okay,
And that way we can.
No, I have a question.
okay.
How many days do you think, if you're just going from Las Vegas,
Mhm.
right, in different directions?
Mhm.
How many days would you ideally need then to see those things that are within an hour?
We did everything in about 5.5. If you take off we were there 7 days. So if you take off the first half of the day, we were at Sunset Park birding for a couple hours the same day we flew in. We went to Walmart, got some water, and we went out birding.
We went to Sunset Park,
Yeah.
what, 3 or 4
For
times?
times, yeah, at night, usually in the evenings, because it stayed daylight in April. It was daylight till about 9. 9:30, so.
It has a huge body of water, fountains, and a lot of people use the park, but the birds are everywhere. In that park, in the park and all around it.
We stayed away from the common birds that we have around here, because they have a lot of the common birds that we can be seen in Indiana. But then around the parameter of Sunset Park is the desert, so that's when you get the roadrunner and the quails and some of the different birds they bird in. So it just depends on where you're at in the park. But it's hard to believe that's a city park, it really is, it's right in the heart of Vegas. But we had a totally different view than being on the strip. You know, we ate at a local Thai place that was very small. We went back there twice because we enjoyed it. We went to one of the older British pubs. There had fish and chips, had traditional fish and chips. So we did just different things.
Yeah, it was not what your traditional tourists would do, I think.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. For pictures, you need light, but you might have observed some bird species that you could hear at night. We saw one picture of the owl, but were there others like a porterwheel or
No, we didn't see any.
nighthawk or anything?
No, we didn't see any of that. Nothing like that. No.
You
I don't know
thought the
if
door
it
was
was
closed. You were inside.
Well, I don't know. We were out, but we weren't out we weren't out an hour outside of Vegas, at dark. And some of those you really feel like you're out. It's funny, we stopped at the one gas station before on the way to Pahranagat, and there's nothing along that road. Nothing out to Pahranagat. And the gas station, I've never seen a gas station so busy. It was packed. You remember the gas station? It was just packed. It was like the last gas station before you're out in the desert. You know, it was just amazing how many people were coming and going from there. But it was like that was it until we got to Pahranagat. I mean, I'd hate to break down because there was just nothing along the road.
Did you have phone signals out?
Most places we did. Most places we did. I had like a general map just in case. I couldn't pick up GPS. But it wasn't that bad. I was surprised because they have cell towers. Randy took a picture of the one spot on a mountain. There were like 7
Cell tower.
cell towers on top of it.
So could you remind us again, how many species that you saw?
We had 26 new ones. We had 64 total.
64 total.
64 total, 26 lifers.
Wow.
26.
Yeah. And we had the new one, he got some great shots of like the green heron, herons,
Birds you see here.
the migrating ducks that we see here that were heading north, in the Gallinule, but nothing. Then we thought, well, we'll stick to strictly western species that people don't get to see all the time. So where we're going to Tahoe's an entirely different habitat, mostly mountainous. So looking for mountain bluebirds, mountain chickadees. We've seen Clark's nutcrackers and the stellar jays, but Randy hasn't gotten pictures of them. So we're
We
hoping
didn't see any golden eagles either.
Yeah.
Terry, the black cardinal that you
Yeah,
showed the picture,
yeah.
is that a local bird? Is that
The
a,
Pahranagat, we saw that in 2 different spots.
so that's a.
That's Las Vegas. Yeah, you can see it in Las Vegas.
That's a neat. bird.
Yeah, isn't that a neat bird?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not uncommon out there.
Yeah.
We were acting like it was a super bird. and
Yeah.
People were driving by going, tourists.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is about as far north as this range is Las Vegas. Other than that, it's like Mexico's where you want to see them. But that's about as far north as they go. Yeah, Pahranagat are really, that's a cool bird.
I saw one years ago in the County Wildlife Refuge in Arizona.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them in that song.
Yeah, those are neat birds. So we're looking forward to exploring Tahoe again.
Any other questions?
Yes, you didn't mention any mammals. Did you have any mammal sightings?
No,
Not many.
no, squirrels. The only thing I can think of is the squirrels.
No prairie dogs?
No. Mm-mm. No, nothing like that, and I didn't put the flower pictures in, the prickly pear cactus was in full bloom. Didn't put that in, we cut it so we wouldn't bore you with flowers and everything else, but. And we had one lizard out at Desert National Wildlife Refuge, we still don't know what it is. You got a good shot of it, we just don't know what it is.
Yeah, you know, at these places, there were lots of other birders around
Yeah.
us. And perhaps we just we were too present for the mammals to show up. You know, they just wouldn't, with so many people around, they wouldn't really be showing themselves, or maybe they come out mostly at night.
Oh.
You know,
Because of the desert and the heat,
we didn't go out at night, I guess.
after dark, we were ready to be in by 10.
Yeah,
We were
we were
tired, we were tired because we were out early in the morning.
Julie Brunner just asked what cool pics.
Oh, the camera, yeah. Can I get my camera?
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a question?
Right.
Are you gonna share with us how you win these trips? Like,
It was due to my work and sales. It was due to my work and sales.
And you sold the
are you like
stuff.
up in the
I sold enough to go up
most in
through.
Fort Wayne, or most Indiana, or what?
There are, you know, that when the trips, I don't know how many, maybe 200 were on this.
Oh,
And the only time we saw them was a couple times at breakfast. So we saw other people and we met a couple from, believe it or not, we met a couple from outside of Lake Erie that had never been to the lake. And we're looking at them like, what? What? We could tell they were into sports and not really into
nature.
nature. But they live like a half-hour drive from the lake. We've never been there. It's like,
Weird.
yeah, they're from I think they were from the Fremont area. And it's like, really? Okay.
Okay, I'll quickly talk about the camera. This is what I used to get all the shots you saw. It's a Nikon Coolpix P1000. It's a point and shoot camera. It has a long lens on it, and it worked very well for a lot of course, you didn't see the bad shots. But it works best if you're very still when you take a picture. If you can rest the camera on something and take the picture, that works out best, especially for the long shots. And also have a nice, most of us have this on our computers. If you have Microsoft, you have a picture manipulating app that helps you with get your pictures in better focus and make it look a little better. But that's really all I use now. I really, if I knew more about cameras, I would probably have a longer lens, a bigger lens, but this works well for me. So as an amateur photographer, I like it very much.
How heavy is it?
Pardon?
How heavy is it?
Oh,
Couple pounds?
it's, yeah, maybe a couple of pounds. It's not real heavy. I don't know, wearing it around your neck though for an hour or two, but it has a nice grip on it. So that's usually how I carry it, just at my side.
With this trip, we're hoping to get some new raptors, because the one thing, if you notice, that we're missing is raptors. We saw no red, we saw no even basics. Kestrels, we saw nothing. Most we saw were crows and ravens. We didn't, to get anything circling, it was, where are all the raptors? We just didn't, we had turkey vultures, but we didn't have anything else.
Yeah, it was odd.
It was odd, even driving down the road with the wires, it's like nothing's sitting on
Because you're
them. Maybe that's why there's no raptors, because there's no mammals around.
And there's one thing in the chat, you see, let's see what that is.
Okay.
That just answered the question. Julie asked which Coolpix camera to
Okay.
use, so
Great.
thank you. So,
Thank you.
any other questions from folks who are joining through Zoom or from anybody here? Please, give a hand again.
Yeah. Vegas, if you do go to Vegas, and the locals are really nice. They're really good people. Yeah.
Great, so I'll click the stop record button.
I've never gone to.
And Rose, do you have? Sure.
Lights again.
Randy might wanna share the book. The program last month was the gentleman talked about his book. I gave Randy that book for his birthday.
Uh-huh.
So he-
Happy birthday.
It's a great.
It was yesterday.